What is heat stroke? The exact definition of heat stroke is a condition marked by fever and often by unconsciousness, caused by failure of the body's temperature regulating mechanism when exposed to excessively high temperatures. It's when the heat is too much that a person passes out. Heat stroke can be especially dangerous because if not treated quick enough, it can cause brain, heart, kidney, and muscle damage. The longer the treatment is neglected, the higher the chances of serious complications or even possible death.
It is easy to figure out if someone has heat stroke, though, because there are many symptoms that can be observed. High body temperature is a huge indicator that something might be wrong. If the core body temperature of an individual rises above 104 degrees Fahrenheit, they run the risk of having a heat stroke. Some other symptoms are altered mental state or behavior, such as confusion, agitation, slurred speech, irritability, delirium, seizures, and even coma. There are also altered sweating, or when someone stops sweating completely, nausea, vomiting, flushed skin, rapid breathing, racing heart, and even a headache.
And with all those symptoms, when is it time to call a doctor? Emergency help should be contacted as soon as possible. Even if the person ends up not experiencing a heat stroke, it's better to call. But in what type of environment should heat stroke be monitored for? Anytime someone is outside in extreme heat, the possibility of heat stroke rises. In one specific type of heat stroke, non-exertional or classic, just being in a hot environment could lead to one. It commonly happens after a long time exposure to hot or humid climates, such as sitting outside in July in Vegas. However, heat stroke can also be caused by strenuous activity, playing sports such as lacrosse, football, soccer, baseball, or any running of sort. This type of heat stroke is called exertional heat stroke.
Luckily, there are steps that can be taken to prevent a heat stroke. In the heat, wear loose, lightweight clothing as it helps keep the body cool. Sunscreen also helps protect from overheating. Applying one layer or two of SPF 15 can keep the body's core temperature down. The most obvious but most important preventative measure is drinking plenty of water. Make sure you are looking at the labels on your medication, as these can also lead to dehydration and inevitably a heat stroke. It goes without saying that you should never leave anyone in a parked car turned off in the summer, as this can cause an unnecessary and tragic death. The easiest ways to keep yourself from getting a heat stroke is taking it easy during the hottest parts of the day, which is around noon to 5 p.m., when the sun is at its highest part in the sky. Drinking plenty of water, and always being aware of not only what your body is telling you, but what somebody else's body or behavior is telling you as well.
Didim's story starts on July 25th, 2014. He was running a marathon, and the journey took things for the worst. At around 6.3 miles, there was another water stop. Here, I decided I could not keep up the pace for my sub-70 goal. My HR was bouncing above 180 beats per minute. I took a walk break and took in water and Gatorade. After about a minute and a half of walking/light jogging, I decided I could get a PB. I took off in a full run again, take my pace down at about 4 minutes and 32 seconds per kilometer. At this time, I recall just feeling exhausted and drained, but determined to slug through, focusing on keeping one leg in front of the other and staying on pace. I remember completing one of the steeper inclines on the route. I remember getting a drink from either a water station or Spectators. Shortly after, my memory is blank. Looking at my Garmin reports, there was about 7.6 miles. It was a flat part of the course, but my pace took a dip for about 45 seconds. My heart rate was at 184 beats per minute. He recalled seeing me zigzagging across the road, instantly becoming aware that I was in distress. As I approached the fire station, I headed straight towards the water hose. According to his account, I sat myself down under the stream of water. They came over to check up on me. He recalls placing his hand on my shoulder and feeling my heart beat rapidly. It was still over 180 beats per minute. They lifted me off the ground. I was dead weight, and sat me on a chair. I sat up on the chair, my eyes were open, but I was completely unresponsive. They started cooling me with more water. Attempts to get a response via trapezius pinches and sternum rubs received no reaction. My eyes were open. I was breathing on my own, sitting up on my own, but otherwise zombie-like. An ambulance was dispatched. I have not been able to report of treatment I received in the ambulance. I arrived at the St. Clair's Hospital. It was along the race route, just over half an hour back. I was admitted to the ER at 9:49 a.m. My body temperature was 104.54 degrees Fahrenheit. I was unresponsive. Immediately, I was placed on ice and a cold mist was applied. I remained highly agitated and aggressive into the afternoon. I was rapidly breathing and shivering. Tests to the point showed signs of kidney trouble and significant liver issues. They were surprised to see little impact on my kidneys. They had caused them to make a decision to incubate me. In the late afternoon, I was placed in the ICU. In a diary she kept, my wife notes that in the evening my temperature was still at 103.64 degrees Fahrenheit. They wanted to take me in for a CT scan, but needed my temp to be below 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. I was able to get a CT scan. I revealed no obvious sign of brain injury, which was a relief. My midnight temp was finally 93.56 degrees Fahrenheit.